Hi, good morning, and welcome everyone to this week's episode of Kadena Campfire. This is episode number 20 featuring Doug Beardsley. Doug, hello, how are you doing?
Hey Tyler, doing well.
Awesome. Great to have you back on. I think you're a
Yeah,
fan favorite, if I understand some of these tweets and comments correctly. So
great
we
to
have a
be
lot of
back.
people filtering in, which is super great. See some questions already coming in. We'll get to as many of them as possible. Hello, KDA fam. Absolutely love it. Yeah, we're gonna have a pretty fun time here today. We got a few pre-asked questions from Discord. We got a few topics and discussions I'd like to get to, and see there's already some good questions filtering in right here, baby. All right, so first up on updates, we have some cool news on the Kadena learning platform, which now supports Pact, of course. Really, really good to see. So let's see if I can pull this up. So first of all, if you haven't already looked, academy.kadena.io/tutorials is where the learning platform is hosted. And so you can see some of the first ones coming in. Of course, we have some of the information and concepts from Thomas Honeyman that have come in here. But then there's also this building a voting dApp with Pact and React. We have some tutorials, we got some jams, we got some cool info here with some TypeScript and Kadena.js info and workshops that will be coming soon. So definitely come and join and take a look there. So pretty amazing stuff there. Next up, we have some information about a pretty cool news story, which is that Sefolio Ventures is teaming up with Kadena.io to launch a new, incubator slash innovation center slash program. So definitely come check out this tweet, come look at this Medium post, and there's a lot going to be happening there in terms of shaping the future of decentralization. So great opportunity for builders and great partnership that's launching here. Very exciting. Next up, we have Vue.js Forge episode 4 powered by Kadena, which is going to be happening August 2nd to 3rd. And we have a tweet about that from Vue.js Forge. So definitely come check that out. Give it some Twitter love if you're a tweeter. That would be great. But we're going to basically help folks build their own decentralized Kickstarter clone. And that will be pretty sweet. So yeah, let's rally behind that, help more builders get exposed to Kadena, get exposed to Pact. And with that, we have some questions we're going to hop into. So appreciate everyone being on and everyone's support for the Kadena ecosystem. All right, so let's go for this first question from Fudo, Doug. How much of a barrier are hardware requirements when expanding the number of chains on Chainweb? How will expanding the number of chains affect confirmation times or latency?
Oh, great question. This really is one of the strengths of Chainweb because our architecture actually gives us a lot of flexibility in this particular question. The core idea behind Chainweb's architecture is that you should be able to have one computer run a subset of the chains. You don't have to run all of the chains on a single computer. That's absolutely crucial to being able to scale because you can't just scale a single computer up to global capacities. Google famously demonstrated this in the late 90s with their MapReduce approach. You have to be able to leverage commodity hardware. And we are able to do that because we will make it possible to have multiple machines where one machine runs some of the chains and a different machine runs other of the chains, and you can split chains across machines, and you don't have to have this enormous hardware requirements that to be able to run all of the chains. Now, the nice thing about Chainweb is we already have 20 chains. At the moment, the node only works by running all of the chains on a single machine. but this is one of our key like long-term roadmap items, is making it so that you can have multiple machines. But we already have 20 chains. So conceivably, once the code supports this, you should be able to run the existing network on 20 different machines. And each machine does a single chain, and that's it. When we expand to more chains, same kind of thing. Now, in practice, I don't anticipate that we will have one machine running one chain. I anticipate, maybe we'll get to a place where the transaction throughput is really high, and maybe you've got 5 machines running 10 chains each or something, or 20 chains each. And but the idea is that should be configurable, and that should give a whole lot of flexibility to the people running nodes. Do you want to run on beefier hardware that can run more chains per machine, or do you want to run on a little bit cheaper hardware that is you might need more of them in order to run the whole entire blockchain? And the other thing that this flexibility allows people to do is, maybe you're not interested in chains 10 through 20. You are only interested in the first 10 because that's where the activity that you're interested in is happening. And so you could just choose to not run a full node on chains that you're not as interested in. So the very nature of this parallel chain architecture gives tons of flexibility here. And this was a very key thing. And this question is actually, it cuts to the core. If you have a blockchain that doesn't have this ability to run on pretty modest hardware requirements, then it's probably going to be that the scalability might be challenging.
Right on, right on. I see we have a couple questions that are roughly the same, so I'm going to loop them together. So I have a question from Neil Whippy about Doug's take on Shai's tweets from that Kadena will be unusable beyond 100 chains. I think Kirby asked a similar question somewhere. Well, I think I have the Discord version of it. Is it true that Kadena will never be able to scale up to 100 chains because of the increase in confirmation time?
No, it's just complete, utter FUD. But I think this gives us a good opportunity to discuss this broader notion of confirmation time and how it applies to proof of work blockchains. People throw around these terms, confirmation time, and like without really defining it. And I think it's important to kind of go back to the actual meaning of these words and think about it with respect to proof of work. What does confirmation time mean? It really means, at the end of the day, like, how long do I have to wait before I can be kind of confident that my transaction won't get orphaned, or that it's going to stay there. There is no confirmation time. People famously say that Bitcoin's confirmation time is 6 blocks, but that's actually a misnomer. What happens is a block gets generated and your transaction is inside this block, and then another block gets generated on top of this last block. And as soon as this other block gets generated, there's a certain amount of work that would have to happen to overwrite this block, because the rule on proof of work is you take the longest chain. And so people are always going to have an incentive to mine on top of whatever the longest block is out there. As more and more blocks get mined on top of your initial block, you get more and more confidence that your transaction is going to be less and less likely to get orphaned. But here's an important thing. You can never be perfectly sure. If there was some, like all-powerful being or God or something that could come here today and give us a blockchain longer than the Bitcoin blockchain, then we would take that one. and all of the existing Bitcoin transactions would go away. That's how the proof of work consensus protocol works. You take the longest chain. So, there's never really a guarantee. Now, Bitcoin has been running for long enough and has so many computers putting power to its system that, transactions way back, the probability of them getting overwritten is vanishingly small, but it's not zero. That's the thing that I think is really important to emphasize here. There is no special sauce that says, oh, it's 6 blocks for Bitcoin. There is no special thing that says it's X number of blocks for Kadena. Those are all just guidelines. Now, we need to talk about another really important component, which is how valuable is your transaction? If you're doing a transaction for a cup of coffee, you're not going to see there's my coffee cup. If you're doing a transaction for a cup of coffee, how long should you wait? Probably you don't need to wait as long as if you're doing a transaction because you're selling your house and someone is paying you in Bitcoin. You should probably wait longer for the house transaction. I mean, this is just good sense. And this is true whether you're using Bitcoin or Kadena or any other proof of work blockchain. That house transaction is more valuable. So maybe you have an incentive to wait a little bit longer so you can have a little more confidence that transaction is going to stay there. If you're doing an even bigger transaction for $1 billion or something, maybe you should wait a little bit longer. The conventional wisdom is 6 blocks for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's block time is 10 minutes. So that works out to about an hour. If I was doing $1 billion transaction on Bitcoin, I think I would wait a little more than an hour. The stakes are a lot higher. You're going to want to wait longer. So there really is no single number, like this is the confirmation time for this blockchain. It's a complex calculation that everyone needs to kind of think about themselves. Where the misnomer comes in is that people want an easy rule of thumb. People don't want to be told the complicated reality. They want to just have a simple and easy thing to do. What do we have here? Get an answer. I'm answering it right now. Yep. I'm talking about confirmation time right now. This is the answer. The whole argument is built around this idea of a confirmation time. And it's fundamentally, there is no confirmation time. Confirmation time is a bit of a misnomer. It's an oversimplification for people that just want a simple rule to go by. Most people aren't selling their house for Bitcoin. Most people aren't doing $1 billion transactions. So yeah, maybe 6 blocks is fine for you. But I can assure you, anyone doing really big transactions on Bitcoin, they understand this a little bit better, or they should, and they're going to, if they're savvy, they're going to take appropriate measures. So confirmation time is just not even a concept that I want to debate with people, because confirmation time is dependent on too many things, and it's not an inherent property of your network. There is no confirmation time for Kadena. It is whatever makes sense for your application. If you're selling little in-game hats, maybe you don't even need to wait at all, because it costs you nothing to display the user's hat to them. And then in 5 minutes, if their transaction fails, you can take their hat away from them. And, there's not going to be any major loss in this world in the context of in-game hats. And so this is why I say that you actually don't really need to be limited by the network's block time. Even once you have a signed transaction that you're satisfied validates, you can optimistically assume that transaction is going to go in. And oh, by the way, KDA, the Kadena blockchain, will automatically reintroduce your transaction if it gets orphaned. And this is a feature that exists today, and it has happened. You know, there are orphan blocks. Orphan blocks are a fact of life in a proof of work blockchain. And if your transaction gets orphaned, Kadena reintroduces it for you. You don't have to wait for that. If I was building a game where I wanted to be able to give a user a hat very quickly, I would create something where their wallet signs the transaction. And as soon as I get a signed transaction back from their wallet, I would give them the hat immediately. I would do a balance check to make sure they have the amount of money that they're spending. That's trivial. That's a very simple and quick calculation to do. I would do a balance check. I would validate their transaction. I would submit the transaction to the blockchain, and I would give them their hat right away, because there's no really significant downside to doing so. And then I'll stick that in some kind of queue, check back in however much time I feel like it makes sense to check back in, see if that transaction is still there. If it is, then I'll like, let them keep the hat. So I think what the community needs here is to understand the nuances of confirmation time, and that there is real no confirmation time. It just depends on your particular application. What is a concrete trait of a blockchain is block time. Block time, we know Kadena has a 30-second block time. Kadena's block time will not increase when we increase the number of chains. Period. End of story. It will be a 30-second block time with 100 chains, with 1,000 chains, with 5,000 chains. The block time stays the same. And that's the key thing. And the posts seem to imply that our block time would go up, and that's categorically false.
All right. So thank you, Doug, for the comprehensive answer. Hopefully that's a definitive last word here. But no doubt I'll get the same question next week.
Probably so.
We got a question from Ryan Valetti. Is the mempool the biggest ongoing challenge right now? What is an explored solution idea?
The mempool is definitely an area that we expect to be like looking at and measuring, trying to get a better idea of performance of it, if there are any bottlenecks. I think I have recently heard some like rumors that maybe there are some things we should look into there, and we're going to do so. And that actually could potentially give like an effective speed up to people if there's some kind of an issue with the mempool, which I'm not sure whether there is or not. But if there is, that's an area where you could get some improvements for sure. Mempools are important, and they're definitely something that we care about.
Right on, right on. I saw Sebastian made a comment about how I may have skipped their question. I haven't gone through all the live questions yet, so we're going to be starting closer to the top, working our way down, get to as many as possible. So appreciate your patience and understanding there. Some good questions here. Also, thanks to those who are already answering some questions in the chat. So I saw this question from Fabio about news for Ledger, and then saw that Barry very kindly chimed in with exactly the answer I would have given, which is that the audit is complete and waiting for Ledger at the moment. So yeah. Thank you, Barry, for providing that answer. That's really fantastic.
Oh, by the way, I think I should also remind people that not too long ago, there was some pretty concerning news about Ledger not being quite as secure as a lot of people had been thinking. So yeah, Ledger isn't the end all be all, folks. And they have been also pretty slow.
Yep. Well, let's see here. Kadena on Trezor or OneKey, another possibility is side ledger.
There are lots of possible like hardware wallet solutions. Yes, we would like them all. And we have finite resources to tackle these things. So I think there will be a natural progression of increasing support for Kadena on different types of wallet devices.
Yep. All right, interesting technical question from Steven. Is it true that a selfish chain attack can occur by a bad actor with less than 50% of the hash rate by targeting a subset of chains?
I'm not, I don't fully understand the question. I think this is trying to suggest that someone could attack a specific chain, potentially like
Yeah, so
making.
imagining, let's say you attack of the 20 chains, you have one chain that talks to three other chains, and you attack like that subset of four chains or something like that. That's how I'm interpreting it, at least.
Yeah, so maybe there's two potential interpretations I could think of. One is just, can you attack an individual block by only needing less hash power? This is a question that I have explained in some talks I've done in the past, in tweet storms I've done in the past. Because of the way Kadena chains are interconnected, if you wait one block, now you have to attack a whole lot more than just that chain. And if you wait 2 blocks, now you have to attack a whole lot more than just those chains. And with the current network, you have to wait 3 blocks. And if you wait 3 blocks, then it's you have to have the 50% of the whole network. So this really kind of goes back to the confirmation time question. And like, what are your needs here? What's your application? And you should probably use this information when deciding how long to wait.
Right. So if you really want that hat and you're playing a game, you really want that hat, and the developer said, "Hey, look, you can get your hat almost instantly," and then someone buys the hat on chain 6, and then at that exact moment afterwards, they mount an incredible attack, with 30% of the hash rate in the entire network, all directed towards chain 6. They might be able to create a new block, do some kind of double spend attack. Now they have surreptitiously gotten themselves a free hat. And what's going to happen is one layer later, the network's going to keep chugging along, and they're not going to have the longest chain. They're going to be basically capped by the layers of the chains going in parallel that they'd have to all attack in the expanding Merkle cone.
Yeah, you can that attack on a small subset only works for like one block, basically. And then you're going to have to keep expanding your amount of power. There's another sense for this question that I would like to discuss, which is there are some categories of attacks where people talk about denial and like stopping a chain. And if a particular miner says, I'm not going to mine on chain 5 for whatever reason, does that slow down the network? No, because the default with KDA is that all miners mine on all chains. And so if one entity is trying to like cut out a particular chain for whatever reason, the other miners are going to come in. And eventually, after enough blocks go by, if the person has been successful in like making that chain not make progress, that chain will become the only chain that can be mined, because other chains can't be mined until this, you can't mine a block on this chain until the neighbor chains are available. And then the whole network will pile in and mine this one chain that is behind. And it will, it will catch up. The network is kind of a self-healing situation. And it's going to be very robust to these kinds of like, I want to slow this one chain down attack, because all of the chains are mined by the same algorithm, and people pick randomly, and miners are profit seeking. They want to get the most money for their mining power, and so they're going to mine whatever chains are available. And if one chain is being held back somehow, then more and more hash power is going to come in until that block gets mined, and the network is going to continue. It's exceptionally resilient.
Right on, right on. I'll take this question here briefly from Alex Hackett. Are there any significant firms / corporates getting ready to use Kadena? So we like to try and keep our questions targeted towards each guest we have on the campfire. So Doug is, of course, a core resource and someone that has huge insight onto the engineering and technical side. We have a rotating cast of characters coming on these campfires, so we'll have some more BD folks coming on, and that'll be a great question for folks more on the BD team. But certainly, yes, there are some talks going on, and lots of investment in terms of partnerships at Kadena. So the BD team is quite large at this point, and people are very, very active and having a lot of parallel discussions. And we tend to announce things once they're closed, once they're finalized, once we have all the details ironed out. So yeah, rest assured that there are plenty of conversations going on and enthusiasm, and we'll continue to have some strong announcements throughout the year here.
Also, don't forget, any kind of serious conversation with a large corporation is going to be covered by an NDA. So,
yep. This is true. All right, let's see here. We have a question about, I don't know if you have an answer to this one, Doug. No worries, you can skip it if not. But a question about Binance, and if we know anything about Binance purchasing of KDA on the platform again.
I'm actually not sure.
Yeah.
They had to put out an announcement saying that a bunch of trading pairs were going to be delisted, and then I'm pretty sure they reverted that, and they came back and said that's not going to be the case anymore. I just chalk all of this stuff up to the pretty uncertain regulatory environment right now, which I don't think serves anyone's best interests, except maybe the people wanting to cause confusion. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not. I don't have a Binance global account, and BinanceUS. I think that they said they weren't going to drop the trading pairs. Last I heard.
Very good. All right. So interesting question from Victor. Since so much attention and effort is being put towards Pact to attract builders to Kadena, what plans do you have in place to market Pact to media and crypto communities out there for exposure? So this would be a great question for Randy and his team, dev experience, dev relationships. So I'll just give a paraphrase answer, which is we have now a team of folks that are going out to a lot of JavaScript conferences, that are holding workshops, that are giving talks, that are engaging with developers and communities at the locations where they meet up. And so that's one avenue. Of course, we have the learning platform, which is we posted earlier. That's starting to ramp up. We'll have more and more material on there. So the learning platform is going to be a great place to get in touch with, for devs to get in touch with other devs on Kadena, to interact with the community, start building skills. And as part of that, we're going to continue to push and start to market it. And I know folks are exploring different strategies. And of course, there's some open hiring positions on the marketing side of things. So a lot of investment going into this space in terms of marketing Pact to crypto developers. For media and crypto communities out there, I think it's a little more nuanced story, because those oftentimes reach more retail investors. So it's great that so many people in the community are aware of Pact. I think it really is a core aspect of why someone might want to come to Kadena. And so the more people in our community that are knowledgeable about Pact, that are able to speak at least at some level about how Pact is more secure, how Pact has these features like formal verification, how you can write code in Pact that is safer than in any other blockchain, how it's easy to pick up, how you can learn how to build out back-end applications. And so I think the more people are able to intelligently speak about Pact, the better, because you'll be able to talk to people on Discord or on Twitter or on Slack, wherever you may be, and help evangelize. But ultimately, I think these conversations we want to have directly with developers and onboard them and answer their hard technical questions and showcase the unique advantages that Pact brings to programming distributed systems.
One other thing I might add is this question specifically mentions the crypto communities, but one thing that Kadena has been focusing on recently is the crypto communities are actually quite small. If you look at all of the crypto developers in the world, that's quite small compared to all of the developers in the world. And so Kadena, with a lot of our recent activities, we're really trying to increase the size of the pie, as it were, and bring people and reach developers that aren't already in the crypto world, and show them how they can use Pact and blockchain technologies in even more applications.
All right, we got a pretty cool piece of news from Kadena Mining Club here. Holy crap, did you see that KMC Legendary NFT Mother sold for 1888 KDA yesterday? That's pretty sweet. Wow, congratulations to the
Nice.
KMC project and to the new holder of the Mother NFT. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I love that, by the way. If any projects out there want to drop some informal updates down in the comments, we're happy to post those live. And I don't know how much we'll dissect, but certainly appreciate. So that's pretty cool. Let's see here from 619YZ. Any idea on when the layer 2 announcement will be, guys? Fascinated to read up on it via Medium when it comes out.
Anyone who knows me will know that I will never talk about dates.
Doug, how was last Thursday? Oh, wait, sorry, no date talking. Okay, yeah, it's a good question, but yeah, obviously it's a big project, big undertaking, and not gonna happen overnight. But you'll no doubt be getting a drip feed of information as soon as we have it. I'm personally really excited about this too, so we'll be having folks to talk on it at Campfire as soon as people are down to talk.
Layer twos are definitely something that we consider important. They're a great answer for applications that need faster response times than you might want to get with a actual proof of work, waiting for 30 seconds or however long, or not. Layer twos have a lot of value to bring.
Yep. So I'm behind in terms of live questions, but we're getting some good questions. So I'm still trying to go in the fairness order in which they're asked. So from breaks, when the network scales, doesn't it require more miners? What if the network scales tomorrow with today's number of miners, and then 80% of them capitulate? What happens to
No,
chains?
it does not require more miners. Um, as I mentioned before, miners mine on all the chains. They just pick one and mine on that chain. And they do it randomly. At least most of the code that we've put out chooses chains randomly. If a particular miner wants to try to use their own strategy for whatever reason, they can use their own strategy. But ultimately, the incentive is set up to incentivize people to mine all the chains, and therefore it doesn't matter how many chains there are versus how many miners there are. They're completely independent. When we scaled from 10 to 20 chains, the miners didn't change. They're like, I have a screen capture video of exactly the moment that the network forked from 10 chains to 20 chains, and nothing changed about the miners. Like that's the only way you can make a system like this work, is by having that property, and we do. So yeah, it does not require more miners at all.
From Bam and Boo, great name. Does that mean that per DApp you can determine what the confirmation time is, which is desirable? For example, for a real estate app, you would give a longer confirmation time as opposed to a
Yes.
Candy Smart CT.
Yes, you understood me correctly. Confirmation time is not a property of a network. It is a property of how confident you want to be that your transaction won't get orphaned. And so you choose it on an application basis, on a value basis, on whatever criteria are important to you. Everyone can choose the behavior that makes the most sense for them.
Right on, right on. Some appreciation for some questions here. Thank you, thank you. Is Chainweaver still in beta? Which wallet would you personally recommend?
No, Chainweaver is not in beta. It's been like our officially recommended wallet for quite some time. I use it. Yeah.
All right, of course we have a Koala wallet in the house for the shameless plug. Love to see it.
Yeah, there are other wallets. This is the great thing about a decentralized blockchain. Anyone can build a wallet, and we love seeing more wallets come out, and we are interested in seeing what kind of innovations people do on the wallet front.
All right, from one hit a quitter. Any possibility of exciting news being announced at Cypherpunk? Just curious. I don't know if there's an announcement plan for Cyberpunk or not. I know there'll be some some folks definitely on the BD team that'll be there, some folks at Kadena that'll be there. So good question, but wouldn't be much of an announcement if we announced it ahead of time. So we'll stay tuned. And so Doug just answered this question. No, you don't need to add hash rate. You can keep the same hash rate.
Yep. Those questions are roughly equivalent.
And Barry's trying to say that Binance still offers KDA/USDT. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. That's an interesting aspect of this stuff that we encountered. Like, it's impossible for us to keep up with the state of all of the different exchanges and what KDA support is in all the different places. So it's really helpful to have community member information here.
Right on. I see a lot of comments streaming in here, so trying to catch up a little bit. Kind of interesting question. From Rob Borson, will the layer 2 use KDA as a native token, or will it use a new token?
It could be either one. It won't be able to use like the actual KDA. It would have to be a wrapped version. Some kind of bridge to say like, oh, KDA tokens are being locked up, and then now we're going to make them available over on this layer 2. So that's just inherently the way it has to be. But it also could be done as some kind of wrapped token that doesn't actually pin itself to the value of one KDA. There's lots of ways that you could do it. You could have all kinds of different types of like stable coins, algo stables, whatever, that could be used on a layer 2. So it depends on the individual application. Right on.
Okay, let's see here. I'm trying to catch up a little bit on some of the questions here. Have a good list. Oh, here's one from Epic Media. How does the network avoid DOS attacks, denial of service attacks, if there is zero or very low gas fees?
Ultimately, this is something that is driven by the market. If a malicious party comes in and tries to flood the network with a bunch of transactions, they're by definition going to have to be paying gas for every one of these, and so the rest of the people should increase the amount that they're paying for gas, and that will make it more expensive for the DOS person to carry out their attack. And this is just an equilibrium. The market will ultimately need to decide what kind of gas price makes sense, and it will adjust to whatever the market decides. Like when CryptoKitties came out back in the earlier days of Ethereum, gas prices went up because everyone was trying to get their transactions in, and it's just a market dynamic thing.
Yep. I just remembered we still have a couple questions on Discord that I haven't asked, so we'll jump to this one from Maltasaurus. Why is Kadena not listed as layer 1 in CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko categories? So talk with Mateo, and our team has requested that tag be added for both CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, and we're waiting on them to respond. CoinGecko did recently update some other things around the Kadena profile, so they're fairly active, it seems, in responding to these requests. CoinMarketCap, I think, has basically not responded in like a month and a half to even a small other change with changing a picture or logo. So don't hold your breath, but the requests are in, and we're presumably in the queue. But we'll continue to monitor that, and feel free to badger them too.
Yeah, always with this kind of thing, community voices often have more of an impact than straight up Kadena. All these companies are like, oh, of course everyone wants to like control what we put on our website, but it's much more persuasive when the information and corrections are coming from the community.
Yep. So you're welcome to keep asking at Campfire, and we'll give you an update, I suppose. But it's very effective to badger them directly, as that's who can actually make the change.
It's useful for us to know for sure, but do both. Let us know, and then badger them yourselves.
There you go. Kadena Island asks, does Kadena see any potential in developing any future partnerships with major cloud storage industry leaders?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Um, I mean, blockchain usually are eventually consume a fair amount of storage. You know, I don't know what the size requirements are for Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, but you know, they're constantly growing. So yeah, I don't see why there wouldn't be some good chance for collaboration on that front at some point down the line.
All right. DCF, given the alpha that I may have inadvertently said something that could be interpreted in a different way. So glad to keep you entertained.
Big data. Ah, cool.
Big
I'm
data.
glad we're more people talking about cloud storage. Very cool.
Thank you very much, Doug. That's a wonderful transition. Let's see here. Yeah, this is true. CoinGecko is always quicker to respond. I like it. All right. Just my two Pope Jays. Just my two Pope Jays. I like it. I like it. Okay, I got to scroll back and go back and try and find some questions here that I've missed. But really cool to see all the interaction here. It's always a fun problem when you got to scroll back through hundreds of comments to find some questions. Let's see here. From Trias, good morning. Can you adjust confirmation time to certain chains depending, deepening the utility of each one? Unclear.
Aha. So from what I was saying previously, there is no such thing as confirmation time. It just is a fallacy, but it's not a property of the network. There's nothing to adjust. There is no number that it's in Chainweb that is the confirmation time. It's the block time. And the block time is different from the confirmation time. So there's nothing for us to adjust. So no. The block time is very likely going to stay the same for as long as we're running.
Yep, absolutely. When KIP 21 release, I know some awesome things hidden in it.
People looking at GitHub for alpha.
Yep.
As always, you know, I can't predict when it will be finalized and when it will make sense to release. We'll release it when it makes sense.
All right, folks, we got a last chance to ask your questions. Let's see here. So from Jack, any plan to have stablecoin in the KDA platform?
We would love to have stable coins. And actually, I think the last campfire I was on, someone asked me what was my top wish list for something the community would build. And I specifically said my top thing that I would like to see built is an algo stable. They can be built like something like MakerDAO or Liquidity. They can be built on top of other coins that aren't stable coins, and they can work very effectively. And you know, Kadena has avoided getting into some of these areas because we don't want to deal with the reg things, because we're based in the US and our life is harder. But algo stables are out there. We know how to do them. And all we need is for someone to basically port something like Liquidity or MakerDAO to Pact and put it on chain. And that's the number one thing I would love to see.
Yep, and then also say that there's multiple efforts going on in terms of bridges and wrapping stables on bringing them onto Kadena. So active area of work right now here.
We're keenly aware that this is an important thing.
From Ryan Maletti, when the website updates, will the Chainweb 3D viewer get any updates?
Wow, that's like some OG stuff right there. I doubt the 3D viewer is gonna get a whole lot of work unless some community person wants to just have some fun with it. It was just something that I think Lars threw together way back in the day. We all have just our own little pet things that we like to do for enjoyment. we have a lot of engineers who enjoy coding for fun, and that was kind of a fun side project that I think Lars threw together. So I don't know that it's going to be high value for Kadena to spend time on, but it would be certainly cool if anyone else wants to play around with it.
All right, we'll take a last question here from DCF. Doug, as long as you're here, as far as the layer 2 being developed, is GameFi and GameFi needs being taken into consideration for the architectural base of the layer 2?
I think that is probably one of the main use cases that that is motivating this stuff. So absolutely, we do get lots of questions about confirmation time and like just the response time of the network. And there are very good reasons we chose the things we chose for a 30-second block time, etc. And we recognize that there are applications that do want to behave much more quickly. As I mentioned earlier, there's nothing preventing you from giving someone a hat before the transaction clears. Like that's, I think, a completely valid thing to do. But we also know that there are games that do need a lot faster response times. And that's exactly what layer 2s are about.
Well, if I've learned one thing in today's campfire, it's that I really need a hat now.
Yeah, I guess we both do.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, folks, appreciate everyone tuning in. It's been awesome engagement. Really fun to have Doug here answering a bunch of questions. I know I've learned a thing or two and hope you have too. Until next time, you can always ask questions on Discord and we'll queue them up for the next campfire. Otherwise, it's been a delight speaking with all of you. For those that are in the US, I hope you had a great 4th of July. I sure had a great time blowing up fireworks and drinking some beers. And so hope everyone celebrated in a way that's meaningful to you. And for those outside the US, hope you had a nice Tuesday. So
thanks, everyone.
We'll catch you all next time. Great work.
Have a good one.
Keep real, Kadena fam.